when for 400 years we played your game and built your wealth. You broke the contract when we built our wealth again on our own by our bootstraps in Tulsa, and you dropped bombs on us. When we built it in Rosewood and you came in and you slaughtered us. You broke the contract, so fuck your Target. Fuck your Hall of Fame. As far as I'm concerned, they could burn this bitch to the ground. And it still wouldn't be enough. And they are lucky that what black people are looking for is equality and not revenge.
Episode 13, No Hipsters Pod. It's your host, Ronte, the founder of NoHipstersAllowed.com. This week, our co-host is the founder of Black Women Views, my girl, Reecie.
Hey, what's up, y'all?
Tell us a little bit about Black Women Views real quick.
Black Women Views is just basically a social media platform or, page across multiple social medias that's all about speaking to Black women that are multifaceted, that don't want to be boxed in, a mix of politics, a mix of pop culture, but it's unbossed and it's unfiltered.
The talk of the town is the defund the police movement, which is also being referred to as the abolish police movement, which is precisely what I think is the problem with the movement, is that the message isn't clear. Different people have different explanations about what it is. And so generally speaking, I think the most popular definition is that it's a redirection of funds from police to education, healthcare. So that's how it's been explained. However, if you watch the news or if you follow social media, you'll see that different people have different takes. And I think that's precisely what the problem with the movement is and why the terminology could probably use a little bit of refining. So have you seen any of it? And what is your take on that?
Yeah, I mean, I've been following it. And I think that the problem is that we are in a kind of soundbite headline, 280 character tweet society that, we don't have a lot of nuance and we don't have really substantive conversations about movements like the defund the police, because like defund the police and abolish the police, though they are two different movements. But the issue that you have is a lot of people that use the slogan defund the police are using it in support or against it without really understanding what it's actually about. And so I think that you're going to have an issue anytime you're, number one, pushing for change. But I also think that the way that we consume information and the way that we converse with each other makes it difficult to move beyond the slogans and actually have a conversation about the objectives.
Right.
But I think that the objectives are perfectly reasonable. And I don't even necessarily take issue with the slogan because I think that it's, you're not going to win on the sloganeering. You're especially when you're talking about some pretty in-depth topics, but I think that if given time and there's actual discussions about it, it can be something that wins people over. But, it's just hard to introduce that kind of language into a debate and there not be a visceral reaction to it.
See, I actually happen to be of the belief that you do win on the sloganeering, because if you can put things on a bumper sticker and make it just really quick for people to repeat, that's when you kind of get to build consensus on whatever it is you're trying to achieve. And the fact that people can take defund the police and twist it into a variety of different things that's not necessarily true, I think puts them at a disadvantage. And also, I will say the rally in Minneapolis about a week ago had people with abolish police signs at the defund the police rally. So first of all, I'm not sure, like you said, I'm not sure everyone agrees on what the movement is. And I think that
you can have overlap. You can have somebody who's abolished the police and defund the police. We don't have to be in these diametrically opposed camps. There should be some sort of overlap, as long as you're open to different ideas. And I wish that we would have a little bit more overlap of people who say, I like this idea, and I like that idea, instead of having people pick a camp and then staying and putting their boots down in that camp and just staying in that lane. And that goes for people who are supportive and that are against it.
The thing about abolish the police is that we now give Republicans an opportunity to really build a campaign that says, the liberals want to end police forever. And I'm not sure that's to our advantage.
No,
And
it certainly isn't. But it's also not, it's something that they're going to say regardless. I mean, you
right,
have Joe Biden that came right out and said, I'm not for defund the police. You had Congressman Jim Clyburn who said, I'm not for defund the police. Is that going to stop Republicans from saying Democrats want to defund the police? No, of course not. So I
right,
think I mean, once anything is introduced into the conversation, it's already out there.
right,
It's too
right.
late to kind of reel it back in. It's too late to say, well, this isn't going to be helpful because whether you support it or not, it's already put out there.
Right. Yeah. I don't know. I've been stressed out about it all week because I think that
Yeah.
we're kind of squandering some great political momentum that we've gotten out of the last 2 weeks. But we'll see what happens.
I think where the squandering is happening is in the way that people dig in, and not just dig in, but the way that there's this animus that I see often in these kind of discussions. And it's social media. I'm sure in the real world, people aren't all that dug in on these topics. But where I take issue is where you have somebody who's deep on the police and they treat anybody who's not for that as the enemy of progress. Oh,
Right.
you guys
Right.
you're standing in the way of us making progress. Or
Right.
they perpetuate these notions that this particular reform is not helpful. Oh, we tried reforming doesn't work. Actually, we haven't. There's very little national reform that's ever been put in place in terms of policing. And so I think that's where it becomes very counterproductive, is when this is my idea. My idea is the only right idea. You're either with me or you're against me. And if you're against me, then you're against progress, and we're going to fail
Exactly.
because of you. That's where I think we have the problem.
Exactly. And I'm sure you saw the video when they ran Jacob Fry out of a defund the police rally.
I do not support the full abolition.
All right! Len! You're wasting our time! Get the fuck out of here! Get the fuck out! Go home, Jacob! Go!
And
Yeah.
I just thought that was just such bad form. And also, I have to keep going back to the message, because what he said was that I'm not for wholly abolishing the police department, and then that's when he got kicked out. So
Right.
when you have that kind of video out there, it paints the entire movement in a certain way, and
Right.
and what it says is that they don't want reform, they want to just completely abolish. And then of course the city council president was using the term dismantle, which I also think is another careless term. But listen. I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful. I'm a little nervous, but I'm hopeful that everything works out, and I'm hoping that we get to refine our messaging, as we progress towards the general election.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hope so. I hope that we can move past just marketing and actually have substantive conversations, because that's where it's not about just winning for the sake of winning. It's actually about making a change that's going to be impactful. And sometimes we have to take everything is political, but sometimes we have to look beyond a political moment, and we have, in terms of the implications for voters, and we have to look at us as a society, what's going to make the most amount of sense. I mean, and that's what happened during the civil rights movement. I mean, that's where we saw a shift in voter preferences because, of what was happening in terms of the progress that was being made. So it's not always going to be the politically expedient thing to do. Understanding this is obviously high stakes election, but if we only ever talk about marketing and what, sounds good and what's easily digestible, then we're not going to make more progress.
Gotcha. Yeah, listen, there's no argument against what you're saying, but and this is something that Obama has said before, that your first goal is to win.
Yeah.
And so none of that change can happen if you're going to just lose every time. And so that's kind of where I am with it. But we'll see how this goes. Let's talk a little bit more politics. And I know we have this on the docket, but I've been hearing the name Keisha Lance Bottoms on the Veepstakes list, and listen, I'm K-Have all day, as are you. Do you think that that's a crazy consideration to make, seeing that she's a mayor, not a governor?
I think it's a courtesy. I think that it's certainly, Well, I mean, she was an early endorser of Joe Biden.
Right.
So I think that it's kind of one of those things that sure, you give her a courtesy, vetting. You also help her with her national name recognition by having her name included in the Veepstakes.
Right.
You also get to make it seem like you're considering more Black women for the job, even though the Black women that you're considering are people like a mayor or a person who's, not currently elected to any kind of office, whose highest position was a state representative. So you kind of vet these people, and I don't mean these people in a pejorative way, but I mean, you vet a group of people that really wouldn't normally meet the qualified in terms of being vice president. And I understand people like to make the argument, well, Donald Trump wasn't qualified. Well, when you're Black,
now.
yeah, when you're Black, you have to be exceptionally qualified. So I just think that it's more of a courtesy than anything. I think it's all about helping build a brand and name recognition. It's kind of the same thing with, Speaker Pelosi when she threw Val Deming's name out there. It was to help her build a national profile. So I don't really care for all the dangling, but I also think that it's very far-fetched that a mayor, is going to be VP when Joe Biden is 77 years old. And,
Right.
People are going to be essentially electing the next president after him.
Let's move on to the racial awakening that is happening right now. So currently, NASCAR has banned Confederate flags. Lady Antebellum has changed her name 14 years into their career, despite the fact that they've been told about that name for years. I have very vivid memories about tweeting about that name in like 2010. And so, there's a lot happening. You have different people statues are coming down all across the world. And you just have to wonder, it's a good thing that this is happening, but why did it take all of this, and how do you feel about that? That's my first question.
I think it's fine. It's all. I mean, it's more gesturing than it is impactful, in my opinion. But I don't take issue with it just because progress has to start somewhere, and it's usually precipitated by something. And certainly the public lynching of George Floyd and all of the police brutality and violence that we've seen recently is certainly warrants what we're seeing in terms of the response to it, as you put it, the social awakening that's happening. So I think it's positive. Does it make that much of a difference? No, probably not. But I don't have a problem with it.
I mean, in some way, I think it does make a bit of a difference. It shows that it's a serious moment. And and it gets people's attention to see everyone doing it at the exact same time. And so it shows that things are changing, even though just in very small ways. My main issue, though, and I keep having to go back to Lady Antebellum because they make me so mad because they've been told about that name for so this is not the first time it's been brought to their attention. And so that's why I'm like, why did someone have to die? And then why did people have to burn targets all across the country for you to make this change? But it's a good thing. Yeah. And I also think this is going to lead to other types of changes. I think companies are going to start trying to hire more Black leadership. Serena Williams' husband is stepping down from the board of Reddit so that they can select a Black chairperson. So Black board member, I mean. So it's a good thing. I'm just also worried that in some ways it is funneling down into this weird, gimmicky, space.
Yeah.
And I hate to be a cynic, but it just, we'll see how this plays out. And I'm hoping people keep that same energy beyond 2 weeks.
Yeah. And that's the one area I do think that there is some impact beyond just gesturing, is that it does feed the sense of momentum. And, it does keep the change and the need for change fresh when you have these pop culture type of things, or you have these corporate type of things, so that, the media is already over the protests. We still see that the protests are happening, but it doesn't have the same scandalousness to it now that you don't have the curfews and you don't have the isolated incidents that were blown out of proportion of violence. Now it's old news. So, Lady Antebellum changing their name to Lady A, that's fresh news. The
Right.
NASCAR banning Confederate flags, that's fresh news. And it still ties back into this movement. And so that is the one area that I think that it is a little bit impactful in.
Let's talk about Jess Hilarious, an Instagram comedian who I guess she was in Wild 'N Out as well, and was on a sitcom with Lil Rel Howery, I believe.
Yeah.
And she went on the internet and went on this diatribe about how we're canceling everybody, and then once we're done canceling everyone, there will be no one left, which I think is just hilarious because it almost assumes that, the roster of celebrities is static.
If y'all cancel everybody, who the fuck we gonna have? If y'all cancel everybody for one mistake, who the fuck we gonna have? Y'all ain't got no fucking platforms, but y'all keep trying to cancel everybody with a fucking platform. That shit is trash.
It's funny because she assumes that everyone's as problematic as she is.
Mm-hmm.
And so did you get to see the video? And if so, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I saw the video, and I thought that I didn't appreciate what she had to say, because I think that she doesn't understand her position as a person who has influence, who has a platform. And she seems to believe that the point, like, let's not cancel people so they have a platform for the sake of them having a platform. Well, it's what do you do with that platform? And sure, comedy things, you say things that are not PC. For instance, Dave Chappelle went out of his way to kind of buck that and be like, listen, I'm going to absolutely not be PC whatsoever. You guys can be mad about it. But when you, and that could be a choice that he made, and it seemed to work out fine for him. But when you are, being transphobic or homophobic, or you're being racist or whatever the situation may be, there are consequences for that. Now, she seems to be doing just fine in terms of her career. I mean, she sold out the MGM Grand out here in the Maryland area just last year. Yeah. So she's still a very successful comedian. So, you got dragged for a day or two or however long, and everybody kind of moved on to the next thing. And so I just think that it's a lack of accountability, and people would go a long way if they actually did take accountability and were contrite and moved forward in a way that was just more sensitive or more cognizant of the role that they play with their larger than average platform.
Speaking of Dave Chappelle, he released a new comedy special this week, and it's a Netflix special, but it's actually available for everyone, even people without Netflix. And It's titled 8 minutes and 46 seconds, which is, of course, the length of time that Derek Chauvin was seen with his knee on George Floyd's neck. And the reviews have been overwhelmingly positive, and I haven't seen it all. I thought it was good, but a part of my soul feels like people are overreacting a bit. So I wanted to know if you saw it, and if so, what did you think?
I haven't seen it. I saw a little bit of it, but I mean, my husband watched it and he was like, yeah, I don't understand all the hype around it. I mean, it's Chappelle, right? So obviously people are going to just like go crazy over it. But I didn't care for the name of the special. But somebody said that it's related to the time that he was born, the time of day that he was born. And so I'm like, oh, okay, I guess that's fine. But I mean, I'm sure it's fine, but I just think I think that people just trip over themselves to anoint him as what he's doing is so fabulous. He's a part of the cool kids club, right? And so when you're part of the cool kids club, then everything you do is cool, even if it's just fine. You know?
Right. It's weird. And it's funny. I think some of the positive reviews almost feel like long distance ingratiation, where like some of these blue checks feel like, oh, this is a smart way of like currying favor with this celebrity or this institution. Because I just don't get it. Like, people went crazy. Like, it was barely out for like an hour, and you saw all these like, just crazy reviews like, oh yeah, Dave Chappelle's proven himself to be voice of the culture, and like, I'm like, what? Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah. I think some of the messengers of that effusive praise certainly made me feel like, okay, let me go check this out, because you saying this, like you said, it's one who everybody wants to be part of the cool kids club. And very ingratiating, and that's what makes it be like, we'll see. Let's see. I like Dave Chappelle. Don't get me wrong, and
Yeah,
I
me too.
keep an open mind about it. But yeah, a lot of times, and I think we just have a lot of those moments where it becomes something that everybody is supposed to say is so fabulous, whether it is or not. And it might be. I'm not saying that it's not, but I'm just saying that it's just. I think that he's created that moment right now. But I will say what he's doing is really interesting in the sense that it's a comedy show that's taped outdoors. People are wearing masks. There's social distancing happening. He's very current in terms of what he's covering. So, usually these kinds of comedy things, they come from a tour and it's a year long in the making. And, you're in a big stadium or a big amphitheater. And so, to have him release something that's so current and speaks to what's happening so currently, so quickly, I think that's part of the allure of it. And so for that reason, I think that part is warranted. But in terms of the content, I have to listen and judge for myself if it's as fabulous as you're saying.
Yeah, listen, it's a good show, but I just don't know that, that it's all that. Like people were putting a lot on it. Winners and losers. Reecie, since you're the guest, I'll let you go first.
Winners and losers. Oh, man. Okay. I thought I would have more time to come up with this, but I will say the winners. Let me say the winners. I think the winners are everybody that spoke out very forcefully and called out Donald Trump for his Klan rally that he was planning on holding on Juneteenth. And he moved it. It's just one day. So, he's still going to have his little Klan rally, but it will not at least be on Juneteenth, which is a complete slap in the face to Black people. So that group, I will call them the winners. The losers, let me see. I'm going to say the losers are grifters. People that are out here just trying to capitalize on what's happening right now in terms of the Black Lives Matter movement. I don't know if you saw Shaun King basically took a lot of credit for the passing of the Breonna Taylor law in Louisville. And so he took all this credit for it. And then another grifter called him out. And so they just started this grift on grift war. And I'm just like, you know what? Both you guys shut up, because at the end of the day, it was local activists that really pushed it, and, protesters and things like that really made it into something that pushed that legislation forward. Grifters, just everybody just simmer down. Don't take credit for what other people are doing. If you have a microphone, then use that to amplify the work of the people doing the work.
Right. It's always a funny day when Shaun King and Dwayne McKesson are like arguing online. But they're the same. But yeah. So my winner of the week will have to be Kimberly Latrice Jones. She's the lady behind the "How Can We Win" clip that went viral.
If I played 400 rounds of Monopoly with you and I had to play and give you every dime that I made, and then for 50 years, every time that I played, if you didn't like what I did, you got to burn it like they did in Tulsa and like they did in Rosewood. How can you win? How can you win? You can't win. The game is fixed.
It's over a week old now, but it really, really went viral like earlier this week. Yeah. And it had every celebrity in the world reposting. I just thought she was just so, raw with it. And this is the way that you can watch that clip and not feel like Black people deserve better and that all the rage is justified. Right. So she is definitely my winner of the week. And my losers of the week, I actually have two this week. My first would be Andrew Cuomo, who he's been doing great on the COVID-19 response, but he definitely went full, heritage, not hate, when he got asked about Christopher Columbus statue. And he said, it's part of Italian heritage. Yeah. And that was, that was a strange moment.
Very much disturbing. I'm like, okay, what? Like, that's a legitimate excuse? I'm confused. Like, no.
Right, yeah, I'm deeply, deeply confused. And then my second loser will be Ray Ciccarelli, I believe is his last name. He's a NASCAR driver who quit NASCAR in protest to then deciding to ban Confederate flags. And he leaves the sport after an illustrious career of 0 wins. So he's definitely the second loser of the week. That's our show. Reecie, thank you so much. I hope you come back. I had a lot of fun talking with you.
Thanks for having me.
And before you leave, for sure. Before you leave, please plug your social media.
So it's Black Woman, WOMEN Views. And it's I'm on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter. And I'm doing daily live streams from at 5 p.m. Eastern on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. I'm doing some recaps on certain TV shows. Sunday is the finale of Insecure that I'm going to be recapping Greenleaf. So check me out.
Oh, nice.
Check me out on all those social media platforms.
Nice. Episode 13, No Hipsters Pod. We'll see you next time.